You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast, where we empower women of faith to identify, acknowledge, and accept their doubts and limits and beliefs in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. I am here with Miss Cheryl Bridges. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you?
Good morning, Felicia. Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited about this conversation that we're going to have today. But before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Right, I sure can. Well, again, I'm Cheryl Bridges. I am the founder and CEO of Bridges to Life, which is a faith-based life coaching and temperament counseling organization. I started it actually 1 year ago
Oh,
on January
congratulations.
11th. Yes,
Yay, anniversary. Let's go.
Woo, that's my 1 year launch date was January 11th, which was my mother's 87th birthday, and she passed away 3 months after that.
Oh, man, I'm so
And
sorry to hear that.
but I am so blessed that she was there at the
Yeah,
launch. Yep.
yeah.
And it was just nice to have her there and be able to know, okay, I can celebrate this on her birthday
Yes.
forever. Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful memory.
Yep.
Yeah.
It surely is.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, so we'll definitely get into all things Bridges to Life in a little bit. But
Mhm.
first, how has self-doubt showed up in your journey?
My goodness. So you asked, right? So,
Right.
so here we go. Here we go. Oh my gosh. So, I mentioned I launched the business a year ago, right?
Right.
So, but for 30 years, I was in management at a Fortune 500 company.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I was there, though, not the whole time, the last 5 years, Felicia, I kept feeling this nudge
Mm.
that God was saying, okay, there's something else that I need you to do. But I'm comfortable, right? I've
Yeah.
been there, I'm getting my check every 2 weeks, benefits, all of these wonderful things. So I kept saying to myself, well, Lord, I hear you, but
That
self
famous
doubt,
word.
but I said, but sure, you've been here since college. You've been with
Mm.
this same company for 30 years. You don't know anything else. This is what you do. Why
Wow.
would you step out? So, that little voice on the shoulder, that inner critic,
Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
saying that, oh, you're good. You're close to retirement. Why mess this up now? You don't know how to do anything else. So just be here. So, but this voice, this nudge, it kept coming. So I don't know, I guess it was in 2015, I said, well, let me just look at something else that I want to do. And I've always been someone who loved to help people. And I've
Mm.
always said I want to help people, but I didn't know how. But come to find out, really, over those 30 years in managing, I was helping people,
Yeah. Yes.
you
Yes.
know? And so I kept attending different church services, revivals, whatever it was. And everywhere I went, it seemed like the word Christian counseling was coming up, Christian coach,
Mm.
all of this kept coming up. So in 2015, I just said, okay, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to go ahead and start taking some classes. So in 2015, I started taking some online classes in Christian counseling and temperament counseling. Then I started doing some life coaching courses, not knowing what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So I kept moving forward, still working, still going to the job. And then, Felicia, one day, God said, well, I guess you're not going to leave on your own. So I'm going to go ahead and close this 30-year door on you, and you are going to have to leave. So,
What?
oh my gosh. So my company decided that they were going to centralize all of their operations in 3 places in the country. And if we were not willing to relocate to any of those places, then that's it.
Listen.
Uh, uh,
Goosebumps thinking like he said, you ain't gonna move, I'm gonna move you.
he said, You're not gonna go ahead and I'm gonna close this door since you
Yeah,
do it
they
on your
took it
own.
right away.
And he just took it right away. I was actually devastated. Like,
Yeah.
what in the world? I was 53, 2 years away from being eligible for retirement. So
Wow.
wasn't close to that. And so I had already, my family and I, the time that I was with this company for 30 years, we relocated 6 times. Six, you hear
Six.
me?
I heard you 6 times.
From over that time. So I couldn't relocate again. I just made
Yeah.
the decision. I prayed about it. My kids are, in college and older. And I said, Cheryl, if you relocate again, why?
Mm. Mm.
Like that was the one question I asked, like, why?
Yeah.
And I couldn't come up with an answer.
Because you wasn't supposed to move.
So I said, okay, well, no, I'm not going to relocate. So that was it. So 2018, my 30-year career ended. Praise the Lord, there was a severance package
Yes. Yes.
that held me. But then 2 months after that, there was a major personal transition in my life that
Mm.
occurred and changed everything even further.
Mm.
Um, but God said, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, but the self doubt was so big, Felicia, because I didn't know all of this stuff was happening. I've left my company. This is all I know. But God had already prepared me by
Yes.
having me start taking the coursework that took me so long because I was working every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I didn't have time, right? So now I have time. I
Yeah.
have all day, every day, because I have no job. so, so needless to say, I finished everything, the coursework, what I needed to do in late 2019, mid
Mm-hmm.
2019, and by the grace of God, launched Bridges to Life January 11th of 2020 as
Yes.
Christian life coach and temperament counselor, and now a board certified mental health coach as
Yes, yes. So they are, first of all, congratulations, right? And then it was a few things that you said that resonated with me. Number one, the fact that we talked about being comfortable, right? And being, even though you're getting that nudge that there's more, right? And you have more in you to give, and God is asking us to do more, but we okay with where we at, right? Because it's the unknown. Like, well, what exactly you want me to do, Lord? You ain't showing me. I hear you, but right now this is working, right? And the other thing that resonated with me as well is that in my former job, I was a leader as well, and we don't realize we're doing this work of coaching without realizing that we're coaching, right?
absolutely. Mhm.
When I started, it was very much so, people think of leadership as like managers, right? That's how they talk it, like direction. You're directing people.
Yeah.
And when my company transitioned, they kind of changed the narrative of the managers. It was like, no, you're a leader, so you have to lead, and people are following you. And the conversation turned differently. And they focused a lot on when the company changed. They focused a lot on us as individuals, and that was when things started to change for me, and how I even how I talk to my staff, and how I instead of like disciplining them, I was coaching them through whatever it was, right? And so you don't realize you're doing the work before you actually do the work, or before you get the official assignment, right? And hearing you say that, I was just like, man, like it's so crazy how he set it's like he set you up to be like, I can't do this. And then when you run it back, you're like, well, I guess I kind of did already do this a little bit. And then he provides provision, he provides
Yeah.
protection. And then you're right, he will, if you don't move, in enough time for him, and that's how you know that it's specifically for you, he will push some way.
Yeah.
Push or pull. One of the other is going to happen in order for you to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even when you had that, and I
Yeah. And
think
I think I got pushed in.
Yes, I think you got pushed and pulled too. I do, I believe so. And then you had a choice though, right? Because I think that God doesn't force us to do anything, right? He's going to put it in front of you, but then
Mhm,
you still have a choice as to whether or not you're going to do your assignment.
mhm.
Because you could have said, okay, I've done all these things and now I'm willing to relocate. Well, God may not have been able to use you if you had relocated. And then you would have made a choice to follow your comfort
Mhm.
versus following your purpose.
Y'all, becoming a full time entrepreneur isn't for the faint of heart. And sometimes I get so wrapped up in building this business that I literally forget about basic things like grocery shopping. That's why I started using Instacart. Instacart is the go to service for quick and effective grocery delivery. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't want people shopping for me. I don't want nobody touching my fruit. Trust me, I know exactly how you feel. I used to be the same way. But when I think about the effort it takes now to go grocery shopping, no, thank you. When you are a customer of Instacart, you select your groceries from the store of your choice. Then a personal shopper does the shopping and delivers it right to your doorstep. You cannot get any better than that. If you have never tried Instacart, trust me, you will not regret it. Click the link in the show notes and get $10 off your first order today. Now, back to the show.
Right. I agree. And I just wanted to add while you were talking, it made me think. So, you asked me, how have I slayed self-doubt, right? And I explained all of that. And that was a whole lot of words, right?
Yeah.
But there's one word as you were talking, like, okay, I slayed self-doubt with one word, and that's obedience.
Yeah. Come
Because
on.
you said it. You said it. That I had a choice. I could have done whatever else I decided to do. So that just came to me. Like, to
Mm-hmm.
slay self doubt, one of the things is just that one word, obedience. If we
Yeah.
just follow what he's trying to do with us, that self doubt will not exist anymore because
Yeah.
he's giving us what we need. We just have to be obedient and realize he's given it to us and do it. And that's not always easy. I'm not sitting
Oh,
here saying like, oh, just be obedient. No, it takes faith,
yeah.
it takes trust, it takes maturity,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual maturity, everything. But
Yeah. No,
yep.
I definitely agree with that. What's so interesting is yesterday I was having a we were my small group is doing a study on fervent. And so we were going over, I think, strategy 3, which is identity. And so we watched a video, and Priscilla Shire is explaining kind of how what she meant in the book. She's the author.
Mhm.
And so she's like, when we are feeling like we're disqualified or we're feeling like we are not worthy of whatever it is that God has called us to do, we have to remember that we have we already have what we need, right? And
Yes.
so she was saying that when we think about salvation, a lot of times we think about it as a future thing versus
Mhm.
what is already in us. And so
Mhm.
she compared it to in the book she actually compares it to packing and grocery shopping. And so she's like, there's a difference between grocery shopping and packing. If you grocery shop, you got to go out to receive the things. When you're packing, it's already you just going in your closet. And so we
Yeah.
already possess the things
Mhm.
that we need to, but it's about obedience. Because you could go shopping for
Mhm.
your trip again, even though you got clothes in
Mhm.
your in your closet, you can say, I need a whole new wardrobe. I'm just gonna buy everything all over again. And a lot of times when we get certain assignments, that's what we do. We don't use it. We go out and we go get more and we go get more. And sometimes we get stuck in this just like, let me just can I get more things versus using what we already have and knowing that God has already put that thing in us. And so what when you were trying to figure out, it made me think like when you were trying to figure out what is the next thing, it
Mhm.
wasn't nothing, it wasn't anything next. It was what was already in you. So what do we have to pull from to
Mhm.
find out what that next thing was? So
Yeah, he's placed it in us. We just have
yeah.
to try to be obedient and sometimes too, we have to be quiet so
Mm.
that we can hear. I'm sorry, you just said like so I know that you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like sometimes we have to just be quiet so that we can hear what it is. And I'm telling you, when he took that job away from me, if that's how I word it,
Yeah.
um, I didn't have a choice but to be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I didn't have a job. I didn't have nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to be quiet. And he really, really started speaking to me and helping me understand exactly what you said, Felicia, that it's already there. It's
Yeah.
already in me. But it's tough. That faith walk is so difficult because God is not going to show you all of the stairs on
Nope.
that staircase. He gonna show you that first step, and then he's gonna say, "Take the next one." I'm like, but Lord, I don't. There's no stair there. But I so if I take this, I'm going to fall because I see the step. And he's saying, I got you. I
Yeah.
need you to take the step. And I've learned the more steps to take without seeing them,
Mm.
that's how my faith got really, really strong. And it's still
Yeah.
getting stronger every
Yeah.
day. But without stepping into those tests,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we kind of stay where we are in
Yeah.
faith walk, but it is no joke easy.
No, it is not easy at all. And because for me, I felt like the it's because it is faith, right? And faith isn't, it's the absence of things seen, and we are programmed as humans to, like, we want to see what's next. You know what I mean? You think about TV, you're able to see. I can, like, the other day I was watching TV and I was like, I think this is the wrong episode. I was able to look into the following week to see, am I watching the right episode? No, I'm not. Okay, well, let me record this one instead.
Right,
We're able, in certain things, we're able to see into the future. Like, literally, that's a week later. But
right.
when you're doing this faith walk, God only gives you the assignment you have today. That
Mm-hmm.
is it. And if you do not complete that assignment, I have learned He's not going to give you another thing.
No.
Not one more thing. And you can keep asking, Lord, tell me what's next. Because I told you to do this. This is
Mm-hmm.
what you're supposed to be doing. That's what your focus needs to be on. And when you complete that, or you're walking in faith and doing that without worrying about what's happening in the future, then we can go on to the next thing.
Right. And to me, what that equates to is control. We have, she's laughing again. She's laughing again. We have,
Because my people know I struggle with control. I
oh,
have.
okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we gotta, I was telling somebody just the other day, we hold our fists are like just closed so tight, right?
Yes.
We gotta open them up. So
Yeah.
two reasons, right? So that God can, so we can release some things to
Hmm.
him, right? And then the other fist we gotta open so he can put some things in it.
Yeah.
But we stay so close because we want to control everything. Just like you said, we want to know what's going to happen next week. And that's that surrendering and that yielding to him, which again, I am not sitting here saying it's easy,
Yeah.
but when we finally start doing that, you will see God just putting stuff in that open hand. And
Yeah.
or you let it go out of one hand, he's putting it in the other one. I'm like true witness of that. I'm
Yeah.
seeing that.
No,
Mhm.
definitely. I totally agree with that. So, what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before?
Y'all know the story. This podcast was an assignment from God that had my self doubt and limiting beliefs telling me that nobody would listen. But you, yes, you, kept showing up every week to listen to this podcast. And because you keep showing up, so do I. If you enjoy this podcast and would love to support me and future episodes, please consider making a donation by simply purchasing me a coffee. If you would like to donate, click the Buy Me a Coffee link. Now, back to the show.
Well, and I've learned so much, but the thing that I've learned the most, I think, is the necessity to really be myself,
Mm,
be my authentic self.
yeah.
So I don't need to worry about what other people think and what other people may want me to do. But I've learned it's so important to just be authentic. And so there's I call them acrostics that I come up with, a lot, acronyms
Hmm.
for different things. And the thing that has gotten me through, and it gets me through still with any self-doubt, is the word bloom. I read something one time that said, a flower in a garden, it doesn't look to the left or right. to see what the other flower is doing.
Mm.
It just blooms, right? On its own.
Yeah.
So, and I take the word bloom though, and I said, we need to be ourselves.
Yeah.
So be yourself, right? Love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
own your truth,
Mm-hmm.
operate in your gifts,
Mm.
and then learn how to master your emotions.
Wow.
All if we do that, we're just going to bloom, and we'll be able to slay any doubt, anything that comes in, because if I'm being myself and I'm loving myself, I'm owning my truth.
Yeah.
I'm operating in the gifts that he has given me. And then after all of that, I'm going to master my emotions and learn how to control my emotions. Because he told us, self-control is so
Yeah.
important, is one of the fruits of the spirit. So I've learned that if I do those things, that's what can help me to keep blooming with, with,
Yeah.
with the Holy Spirit by my side the whole time.
No, I love that. So I'm a very visual person. So when you were talking about the flowers,
Mhm.
you just imagine them, even as they bloom up, right? Like not
Mhm.
even, there is no saying they all bloom up and out, right?
Mhm.
And so when you think about that, that visual for me was just like, definitely focusing on yourself and focusing up, right? And in alignment with him, of
Mhm.
knowing that this, like, he's pouring into you so that you can bloom up. And when you talk the same thing about releasing your hands and opening your hand, like, in order for you to receive those things so that you can bloom, we
Mhm.
have to be open to that. And I definitely believe in being authentically yourself, because
Yeah.
God only created one you, right? And he wants
Yeah.
us to be ourselves. That's what he wants for us. And when he
Mhm.
gives you your purpose and he gives you your gift, only you
Mhm.
can do it. Even if you were to compare yourself to somebody else who may be doing something similar to you, what he gave
Mhm.
you is specific to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier about assignments, and I agree with you on that. There's specific assignments, with my clients. I'm so convinced that every single client that comes into my door or in my path is specific to me.
Yeah.
He sent those people
Yeah.
to talk to. And so, but your original question, but that's what I learned so much about myself, that if I keep, being myself, which is who God created me to be,
Mm-hmm.
loving myself and owning the truths about me and doing all of these things with the gifts he's given me. That's how we bloom up, as you said, and that's how
Yeah.
we're able to also be a blessing to other people as we keep blooming too. It's not just about me or about us, but how can we be a blessing to others? So
Yeah.
I've learned a ton during this little journey of, whoo, all the changes he's made in my life.
Yeah, and you know what else it made me think about? Like, when and thinking about flowers, and we also talk about like when you operating in your gifts, and when it comes to others, that I have an interview I did before with a therapist who said that her father's always told her people should always be getting your overflow. Nobody should ever be drinking from your cup. It should always be the overflow, right? And so when you think about flowers, like, they continue to bloom, right? In season after season, and the petals fall off and more comes, right?
Yeah.
And so you
Mhm.
think, when that visual to me was just like, you just continue to operate, and God will continue to, every season will rebloom you for whatever is needed. And your petals feed whatever, I mean, however the petals go. Like, I'm making this very specific, but it's just like that visual for me was just like, man, that was encouraging to me to just like keep blooming. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, keep blooming. Spring is around the corner
I
too.
know.
It's time to bloom, y'all. It's time to
Yes.
bloom. Yes.
So let's talk about Bridges to Life. What I want to know all things of how, like, the name of it, where, how, when you transition from your well, yeah, you transition. I was going to
That's
say
how you transition.
transition from your corporate job into this
Uh-huh.
space, what was that like for you? And like, where are you now?
Hmm. Well, and so Bridges to Life. So of course my last name is Bridges.
Oh, I swear, sometimes I'll be like,
You
girl.
didn't. So my last name is Bridges, but even if my last name was not Bridges, the Bridges to Life is, in my head, it was always this connection. I wanted
Mm,
to help people make a connection from understanding who they are to who they want to be. Because if
wow.
you don't know who you are, it's very difficult to become who you want to be. So,
Absolutely.
so the bridge for me is my company helping you to bridge the gap. We a lot of times we are living in that gap of who we are
Mm,
to who we want to be, right? So when we live in that gap, Bridges to Life can help you close that gap. And one of the ways we do that is by
When I first started posting on social media for the podcast, oh my goodness, it was a disaster. I did not know what I was doing. I was guessing at everything. Then things shifted for me when I got introduced to three platforms that changed the game for me. I started using Canva for my graphics, Caption Writer for my captions, and Wave for the audiograms. Seriously, if you go back to the beginning of the Slaying Self Doubt Instagram page, you will see the transformation. If you are in the process of branding or rebranding yourself, I recommend you try out these platforms. Canva has hundreds of templates that you can choose from to design any type of post you desire. Caption Writer allows you to create and save your captions with the perfect line breaks and even lets you add different fonts. Wave helps you create snippets of your content to share with your followers. They have closed captions and those cool little wavy lines. If you're interested in trying them out, click the links in the show notes to start using them today. Now, back to the show.
providing temperament counseling.
mm,
So, temperament is basically why you behave the way you do. You know,
mm,
why do you not like to swim when maybe your husband is a fish in the water? Or, why do I get so angry when somebody cuts me off on the road? But when my girlfriend is driving, it doesn't even bother her. She's just like,
mm,
oh, why is that? It's because of our temperament, and it's
mm.
our God given temperament, the temperament that He gave us, and it's inborn. So I provide clients with a temperament assessment to help them identify what the temperament is. So
Mm,
once someone knows what their temperament is, now we can identify the strengths and weaknesses of it, as
mm.
well as the needs of it. That's the most important part. Because when our temperament, if whoever we are, we have needs. And if our needs aren't getting met, that's what creates stress and
Wow.
anxiety and self doubt and overthinking and worrying.
Wow.
Right. So our needs have to be met. So in the temperament coaching process, that's what I'm able to do, is to help people understand, okay, so this is why I act the way I do. And
Yeah.
guess what? There's nothing wrong with it, because no temperament is better than the other. They
Mm.
all have a long list of strengths and they all have a long list of weaknesses. So when I first found out what my temperament was, I was like, oh, my temperament is so good. It's known for having the highest IQ out of all the temperaments. But then my temperament is also the most prone for anxiety and depression.
Wow.
Why? Because we overthink
Mm,
and worry more than another temperament. So once I know that about myself, I know what the strengths are, I know what the weaknesses are. With the help of the Holy Spirit now, I'm asking Him to help me modify those. Can't change
mm.
your temperament. Your
Yeah.
temperament will never change, but we can modify the behaviors of it and now do things to meet the needs of it in a productive biblical way rather than the worldly ways. I'm trying to meet my needs. I'm trying to fill that gap that I
Right,
talked
right, right.
about earlier, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing it in the right way, I'm trying to fill that gap with what? Drugs, alcohol, sex, money, shopping, whatever, eating, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So my role as a temperament coach is to help you meet those needs in a productive and a biblical manner. But you first have to identify them. You have to
Yeah.
know who you are so you can know what your needs are. So for the temperament, that's kind of a specialty of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just Christian life coaching to help people who need help identifying goals and sticking to their goals. They may need accountability partners,
Mm-hmm.
strategies. A big thing is helping people figure out methods to manage their emotions that are causing them to be held back a lot of times
Yeah.
from what they want to do. So it's just, oh my gosh, it's so many things that we do at Bridges to Life to help people bridge the gap
Mm-hmm.
from who they are to who they want to be. Mm.
Man, I love so the whole I'm so intrigued about the temperament part, right? Because I'm like, that is very interesting that you don't on the outside, without having this conversation, right? I would have just we make assumptions about people, right? That they are just a certain type of way, why they don't like this versus, they're different from us in some ways and how they act out on certain things and not realizing that you hear people all the time, like they'll say, like, but that's just who I am, right? And some people are trying to change it like that. No, that's not who you are. But what you're saying is that some of that is who you are, and it's because you're lacking something that is the reaction to the lack of your need, right?
Right.
And when you understand what you need to operate in your whole self, right, and going back to blooming, to
Mm-hmm.
operate in being authentically you have to be able to identify those things so that you show up better for yourself.
Right, right. And what it does, Felicia, for families, especially even husbands and wives or children and parents,
Hmm.
like, so it helps everyone understand, like, oh, well, she's not doing that to just get on my nerves. Because we don't know, we're like, why
That's
does she
true.
do that?
Yeah.
So with the temperament understanding, it's like, okay, she doesn't just do that to get on my nerves. This is who she is. This is
Yeah.
who God created her to be. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't give you a license to say, well, that's just how I am and I can't change it. And so
Yeah.
too bad, too sad. No,
Yeah.
no, now that I know it, okay, how can I balance? And the thing is, it's all about balance, because you don't want to all of a sudden try to be someone you're not, because
Hmm.
that's where the stress comes in. Now you're not being authentic. You want to be who God created you to be, but the best version of who he created you to be.
Yeah.
So that just means balancing some of these temperament behaviors that we have.
Yeah, and the other thing that came to mind was that it's this is why it's so important if you're doing this work, with you or with someone else, even when we're thinking about like therapy, like having
Mhm,
a sense of self awareness, right? Because it's very easy. I even tell my clients like when we first meet, like this has nothing to do with anybody else. This is your work. This is what it is that you want to fix, but even though someone else may contribute to whatever your insecurities are, they may have contributed to it. We're not here to fix them. We're here to, have the self awareness to work on you. And I think that is
right,
super important, especially when you're talking to, because we are quick. And I can say that as you were talking and you were talking about with families and couples, I immediately thought about my husband and was like, yep, I'd be quick to be like, you need to change, da 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 da, blah, blah, blah. But when I started doing this work for myself, I was like, you know what? It don't have nothing to do with him. This is me.
no,
How am I showing up in this marriage? How am I showing up to
mhm,
my kids?
mhm,
How am I, even when I was at work, how am I showing up at work? What do I need to change to allow the people around me to adjust? Because when you talk about temperament, right, I thought about temperature. It adjusts you adjust the room, right? Like if
yeah,
you come in there, rah, 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 everybody is, what's going on? You
yeah.
come in there loving, and then it kind of it mellows out the room. But no,
Oh,
yeah, that resonated with me a lot. I was like, I done changed my temperament, or I've had to adjust my temperament over the
yeah.
last couple of years.
Just modify the behaviors. That's all. But and when you mentioned the word self-awareness, it also made me think about another portion of Bridges to Life is we provide self-esteem workshops and workshops about caring for your inner self, so many things like that. So I just finished a 4-week self-esteem masterclass that was done online, where we worked on 10 ways to improve your self-esteem. But I started the class with, again, using the word self. And the first thing in improving the self-esteem is to develop self-awareness, which again, you have to do. You have to understand who you are. And again, that can be done through temperament and so many other things, but develop self-awareness, examine your values. What is important to you? What do I value, and how do I get more of that in my life? And then leverage what you learn, because now you know. So let's do something with what I'm learning with myself. And then start focusing on what matters most.
Wow.
That's self. Because when we focus on, we get distracted, and we get away from the things that are really important to us. And that's where the self-doubt sneaks in, because we're not comfortable with the things we're focusing on. And one of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 4:25 and 26. And I think it's a Message version that I really like, but it says, keep your eyes straight ahead. Ignore all the sideshow distractions. Watch your step, and the road will stretch out smooth before you. That's it.
Wow.
We have to focus on what really matters. Don't be looking to the left and the right. Just keep focused on him and the plans that he has set out for you.
You know what that made me think of? I said that is a for real biblical. That is a scripture that says, "Stay in your lane." If you ain't never heard of one, that is legit. Stay in your lane.
That's it.
I told y'all, imposter syndrome is real. When I'm in those moments of doubt and anxiety, I ask myself, who's going to listen to you? Did God really call you to do this? Or, girl, ain't nobody trying to pay you to talk to them? These thoughts lead me to procrastination and being paralyzed by my fears and doubts. Throughout this journey of slaying my own self doubt, I have some tried and true practical steps that have helped me, and I would love to share them with you. Head on over to my website at www.feliciawallace.com and download the 5 ways to slay your self doubt. Now back to the show.
He just said it right there. If you need confirmation,
don't worry about them sideshow distractions.
Yes,
you're it. Stay in your lane. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Stay in the lane. Stay in the lane God. Stay in the lane God has placed you in.
Yeah.
You know, and if he changes that lane, okay, then go with it. But not if he didn't change the lane.
Right.
We get going all these other lanes and get distracted.
Yeah, no, that is so important. And I think that in what you're talking about, and in slaying self-doubt and how that mends together, is just one, like going through that process of understanding your temperament, understanding your self-esteem and your value, and your self-love, and being authentically you. When you have all of those things, right, that is how you're able to use these as tools when the doubt comes up, because now you have an awareness of who God says you are, right? And so because the thing about it is I always say, self-doubt doesn't disappear. This is a journey, because as you continue to level up, it's gonna come back up, but then you can use the tools to be able to slay, right? Like actually slay. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, this is an action. Like we are slaying currently, going forward. That's what we're going to continue to do. But you got to know what you're slaying first. And then you have to use the tools to be able to do it in an effective way. Otherwise, it's literally it's pointless, right?
Right. It's continual. Like you said, continual slaying. And that reminded me of continual slaying, reminds me of being continually filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Too. Yeah.
It's not, so being filled with the Holy Spirit is not a once and done. And neither is slaying your self-doubt is not a once and done. It all has to be a continual process.
Yeah. And to go back to what you said in the beginning about this faith walk, it's very, we all know that we've been, and I've said plenty of times on here that we have times where you're walking and you're walking in that faith, and you can get comfortable in your faith, right? Where you like, oh, I'm good right here. I don't even need to check in no more or do nothing else. Like the Lord just set me up right in this spot. And then you got to go back, right? And I have had to go back so many times because I was relying on my own strength, and I was relying on just enough of what he gave me to say, oh, I can keep doing this. But then when he called me for more, I didn't have enough. But it was because I wasn't bringing that spirit along with me. It was like, I got what I need to get through this first thing, instead of it allowing it to be like a flow, right? And just a continual flow of that spirit and that faith, and not and again, back to the controlling thing, right? And not trying to control the situation.
That's the part right there.
Listen, it is easier said than done. It is easier said than done.
Yeah. I was just going to say, so in Bridges to Life, again, in conjunction with the coaching and the temperament counseling, there's also just that overall desire to help people improve their self-esteem and self-awareness and things like that. So it all comes together. We do it in all of those different ways.
Yes, I love this. I literally, like I said, when you were talking about it, and now I'm like, I'm probably gonna go Google what are the different types of temperaments. I'm like, this is a very interesting thing. And so I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story and telling us about like how your journey, like that right there. Everybody, I've said plenty of times on here, is that everybody goes through different things, and ultimately, you said it's obedience. God will call us out of certain situations, and it is just your obedience as to whether or not how his assignment or his calling on your life will end up. Because we do have choices, and so I am quite sure that the people that he has assigned to you are happy that you chose to stay put and allow God to use you in the way that he needed to use you, because had you not, you would not be right here with me today. So I am grateful that you were obedient. Okay. Thank you for your obedience.
Yes, you are welcome. And I'm thanking him to give me what I need to be obedient.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for having me. This was enjoyable, and I'm happy to have been able to share. And like I said to you, even offline, just wanting to be a blessing others who will hear this and maybe going through the same thing. And just know, just be yourself, love yourself, own your truth, operate in your gifts, and try to master those emotions.
Yes. So Cheryl, how can people connect with you?
Yes, they can connect on my website at bridges2life.com, and it's the number 2, bridges2life.com. They can send me an email directly if they'd like. My first name's Cheryl at bridges2life.com. Either way, it's fine. Yep, you can go right on my site and learn more about temperament and setting up appointments. If you're interested, that can all be done on the website. And I'd love to hear from some of you.
Yes. Well, I will definitely put all this information in the show notes so that y'all can be able to find it. Again, thank you so much, Cheryl. This was definitely an enlightening conversation for myself. I definitely, you empowered me with the bloom. I got the curiosity of the temperament. Like, I'm just like, who am I? Who am I really?
You ready to keep slaying then?
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
We end every episode with the serenity prayer, and it goes as follows. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self-Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.